There we go. There we
And I
go.
and I can see you. You've worn our customary daily uniform, so I
That's
can hear you and see you.
that's right. It makes things easier. It makes things a lot easier. Thanks everyone for being on. What's up, Jorge? Good to see you. Um, I think we
We
should
hey,
probably get kicked
we
off
gotta
here.
turn cameras on because if y'all don't turn your cameras on, I'm hanging up because I want to feel some energy and passion. There we go. Yeah, there's no coming on here with Brett and I and acting like you're going to hide and pretend like you're paying attention because this is going to be one of the most important Zooms and calls you guys are going to have. I know that it's been tough times. I just want to say this before I turn it over to Brett. I know it's been tough times, but I'm going to walk everybody through a planning process that I've been using for over the last 15 years to bring you some energy and excitement, enthusiasm to what I know has been a very difficult time for all of you. So we need cameras on, we need energy and excitement. If you're sitting in a boardroom making phone calls or something else, I don't mean to be rude, but you might as well hang up because if you're not going to give me your attention, I'm not going to give you my energy. Baird, it's on you.
Excellent. So first of all, I wanted to give you a huge congratulations. I don't know if you guys saw this, but recently USA Today, I believe that's the publication. Have you guys heard of that one? It's pretty big. So USA Today came out and named the top 5 mindset coaches globally. Is that correct?
Yes.
Globally, and Mr. Ben here ranked. Were you number 4? With
Yes,
the
sir.
likes of with Ed Milet. I'm sure you guys have heard of him. Tim Grover. I mean, just the who's who. So it's a testament to your mindset. You're willing to go the extra mile and you super digging in and setting a super, super crazy high standard, which, it's tough to live up to, especially when I get your text at 2 a.m. when you're already up. And luckily, I'm past the days of me just going to bed at that time. But, we're in Q4 now, guys. And if we think that Q1 is 75 days away, we're dead ass wrong. Like it's now. We have to dig in right now and we have to dive in. We have to plan now for what next year's going to look like. Because what happens is, I mean, have you guys seen the classic meme on January, like January 1st with about 10 minutes after 9 a.m. you see people saying, oh man, I already screwed 2024 up. 2025 is going to be my year. Right. So we need to start planning now, dive head in to what we want 2024 to look like. For me, for example, I really didn't start to dive in on a lot of things, especially health, until about a year ago. So this time last year, I was a really good drinker. I was a really good drinker amongst other things. I was really good at all of it. And I decided I needed to curtail that and scale it back and dive in, be disciplined, work on mindset, work on leadership. And, I'm 40 pounds down. I know Brian Pinto is probably on this call. He's 70 pounds down in the last 8 months. Starting to run marathons, just finished the Chicago Marathon a couple of weeks ago. Got Tokyo coming up, Berlin, New York next year. And ultimately for 2025, I'm
Oh,
setting far out goals.
you're going too fast so everybody can really celebrate you. What was your time? It was a personal record for Chicago. And by the way, to run it in Chicago, if anybody didn't see it, we need to, Katie, if you could throw up a picture of Brett, if you have a picture of the most creative running uniform in the history of marathon running was your outfit for the Chicago Marathon.
I enjoyed it. I ran a 3:38. So my goal was the 3:30, which is an 8-minute flat mile. I finished at 8:14s. So I'm still 190, 192 pounds. So for a guy of my size, that's relatively quick. Tokyo, I'm shooting for sub 3 hours. So that's like high 6-minute mark. I need to drop another 15 pounds for that. And then ultimately, I want to train for 2025. I really want to run the UTMB, which is the Ultra Mont Blanc. So it's a 110-mile race, 35 or 40,000 feet of vert, and it goes from France, Switzerland, and through Italy, clear around the base of Mont Blanc. So we're training towards something. We always need to be training towards something and have a kind of a big crazy goal out there. So that's just one of mine that I wanted to share before we get kicked off here. And a lot of that's thanks to you. Obviously, you didn't run the marathon for me, but you sure as hell got my mind right. So I could go out and handle business. So I just remember about 18 miles in, which is kind of when you want to quit and your feet are hurting and you got blisters And I just remember Ben sent me a video that morning, like, you've trained for this, you're prepared. It was just an awesome, awesome video. So I just kept playing that in my head. And I'm like, I sure as shit am not getting on a call with Ben after this. And I didn't finish. So just that little extra
Hey,
encouragement, which
for the record, one more time, I am so proud of you, and you're darn right I didn't run it for you, because the only marathon I've ever run, I ran it in 4 minutes and 52 seconds, and I didn't qualify for anything. I just have the ability to say I finished the damn thing.
I love it. I love it. So, thanks for that. You mean the world to me. And, I think we have quite a few people on this call today, which I'm super excited about. Some of these guys are in our same industry. We got some young men on here, some young gals, some of my friends' kids. Musay's on here, young man that is from Denver. He's a kickboxer, got his mind right. Brian Batten, just the whole cast and crew of people that mean an awful lot to me. So I appreciate you guys taking the time. And let's get into the meat and potatoes here, Mr. Ben.
Well, let's dive right in, and I'm going to start with a story that I haven't told in quite some time. We had a boot camp event in Vegas just a little over a week ago, and Brett and Eunice were there, and it was amazing having them there. He actually flew. I think what I put on my story was, I think he's the only person in the world who have run the Chicago Marathon and then showed up to our boot camp that night at a black tie event. So it was amazing to see him there. He was walking, couldn't have been any more proud of him. But at that event, we had what was called an elite day. It was a final day. And there was this story that hit me that I felt was very, very relevant for that group that stayed an extra day for just one-on-one time together with me. It's about 20 people. And after I shared that story, it hit me that the relevance of the story was actually very much in alignment for a couple of other groups that I work with, including yours. And so I want to share a story that many, many people haven't really heard the depth of it before. They've heard me reference maybe my work with the North Dakota State Bison football team, and that's how I got started in college football. But there's something very, very relevant to my work with them. And I think it might be a way that many of you are feeling right now that are in the industry. And so let's take you back. This is just under 10 years ago when I had my first opportunity to start working as a performance coach in collegiate football. I had the opportunity to get invited to speak to the North Dakota State Bison football team. At the time of this story, they had just finished winning a 4th straight national championship. So as a performance coach, part of you is wondering, like, what the hell are you bringing me in to speak for? Like, you've just won 4 straight national championships. Don't you guys have it figured out? Like, what do you really need me to say? And so I show up and I meet the coach for the first time, Coach Kleiman, and we kind of talk about what the messaging was going to be and legacy and some of my beliefs and breaking down a football game and one day at a time. Many things you've heard me say many times before. And he says, this is a perfect message for our team. And he said something that really hit me, because I had asked him the question, like, why are you bringing me in? We were just kind of having fun with, like, you've literally won 4 straight championships. And they were going for a 5th straight, which had never been done in the history of college football at any level. And he says, I'm always looking for the edge. No matter how high you win in life, no matter what you achieve, I always feel there's things that you can do to get better. And I always want to find that edge so that we stay sharp and we continue to win. So I go in and I pour into these players. Remember, I had never met Coach Kleiman before this. I actually got referred in by a former North Dakota State Bison football player that I was doing his mental conditioning work in the NFL at the time. And I give this talk and I finish, and Coach Kleiman stands up and he bear hugs me. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess this went well. I might have some opportunity here. And it could not have gone any better. I loved the opportunity to be with the players. They loved the messaging. And we kind of unified and determined that I should be doing continued work with this team. So this opportunity to be a performance coach, I had given talks in football before in different college teams, but never like, we're bringing you on board. We want you in the locker room. We want you on the sidelines. We want you to be the performance coach. And so what I would love, Brian Batten, a guy who's performed at a very, very high level for a very long time. Brian, let me ask you, if you could just give an answer for everybody. So 4 straight national championships, you give this talk that blows them away. They believe that you could be the individual to help them win that 5th straight national championship. Literally, they've just won 4 straight national titles. What do you think the budget was for me as the performance coach to come help him do something that had never been done in the history of college football? Take a guess. What do you think the budget was?
Well, I'm just shooting at the wind. $50,000.
50,000. Okay, pretty good guess. You know, one AA program. It's yes. This opportunity catapulted me to the opportunity to work with Alabama, where they had more resources than the North Dakota States. But $50,000 is a pretty good answer. Anybody else have an answer? Katie, what do you think? Let's throw Katie in here. I love Katie, all her energy and all she does to make Baird's team go. I got to throw you in the mix. Katie, what do you think the budget was?
Oh, geez. 35.
35,000. All right, now let's go to Baird. Baird, what do you think the budget was? 4 straight national titles. They think I could be the guy, the catalyst for the 5th straight. This will be the last guest we go with. What do you think the budget was for this amazing role? Be on the sideline, be in the locker room, travel with the team, be the guy to help them. What do you think the budget was?
I mean, the way this set up, I don't see it going north of 20.
How about this budget? The budget for this role was $0. So why am I sharing this with you guys right now?
Wow.
Why am I sharing this with you? Because every single one of you right now, you're making less than you're accustomed to make. And you feel the pain and you feel the sacrifice. And when we feel that, we give up on ourselves. And I'm just being direct because I care that much and I've had enough conversations with people in the industry. So here, I approach this opportunity, and I'm just going to cut it to you straight, because I think as we plan for your 2024 today, and there's a specific reason why we're going to plan for your 2024 today, which many of you are probably wondering, why are we talking about planning? I'm trying to salvage 2023 and gain some momentum, and you want to talk to me about 2024. There's a specific reason why, and we're going to connect you to a different level of energy to finish your year, but we need to have this conversation first. The budget was $0. None of you right now, none of you, okay, have a budget that's currently $0. You may make less than you're accustomed to making, but none of you is working for free right now. It may feel like it some days, but none of you are working for absolutely nothing. You may have less deals than you've ever had in years, but none of you are like literally, no matter what you do, that's the budget. So why am I telling you this story? Because my passion did not change in working with that football team. My energy did not change in working with that football team. I still stayed focused on the fact that I had the opportunity to do something special with this football team, to be part of a 5th straight national championship. It had never been done in the history of college football at any level. And I made a decision. They may pay me nothing, but they're going to get everything that I've got. And you know how I do this. I don't call people out and say, raise your hands and nod your heads, but I want you to answer this for you. Because Brett and I have been encouraging you and we've been leaning in, right? It would have been really easy for me to say, hey, Brett, like just things aren't really working out with this group. I'm not feeling the energy. I'm not feeling the passion. Like, I don't know how all in everybody really is. And we could have just said, you know what? We're not going to continue these for 2023. But I've showed up prepared for every single one, energized for every single one, knowing the pain that you're going through because I want to help you get through it. But at some point in time, you've got to be honest with yourself. How have you really been showing up? Because we don't always get things drawn up exactly the way that we want them in life. Sometimes the budget isn't what you want it to be. Sometimes the hard work. Some of you might be working harder now for next to nothing when you used to be closing deals and making a considerable amount of money for the same work that you're putting in now. But has your energy changed? Has your passion changed? Has the process changed? You know, I had a phone call earlier in the week with somebody in the industry as well, and he was saying, one of the things I always focus on, I've always believed this, I've had these conversations with Brett numerous times. He said, when I get in periods of time like this, I do not change how hard I work, but I change my expectation to knowing I may not get what I want. But when everything turns around, I will absolutely have the opportunity to participate in all of the great things that'll happen because I hung in there and I decided to fight. And I hung in there and decided to show up every day. Not just physically showing up, actually moving the needle, working, building relationships, doing things. Same thing I had to do at North Dakota State. I had to say, am I willing to show up and give it everything that, or did they get half of me because there was no budget? And I'm talking about there was no travel budget. I paid all my expenses. So imagine, not only are they not paying you anything, you're paying all your expenses. How about this? We actually made it to that national championship game that year. So now you got to be thinking, right? They make it to the national championship. I mean, Katie, they got to have some sort of a bonus for me, right? Like, just like I didn't run Brett's marathon, like I at least help him get to the game. Like, you got to have at least a bonus, like, 500 or something, maybe 1,000, like give me something. Not only did they not have a budget for me, they didn't have a damn hotel room for me. So I literally had to sleep on the couch of the assistant strength coach in his hotel room. I mean, I literally felt like I was all the way back to like grassroots when I was starting my career. I was already a very successful individual. I was making money in other areas of my business. But you know what I decided to do with that experience? I said, I'm going to go all in. I said, if they have no budget, I'm going to go back to feeling what grassroots feels like, and I'm going to work my ass off. They don't have a hotel room for me. Even though I could have afforded my own, I'm going to sleep on that couch. And I'm going to remember what it's like to have to go back to the bottom and work your way out of it to earn it. Guess what my first meal was? How about this, right? As if the couch wasn't bad enough. So by the time I got there, I traveled there, I showed up and the team meal was already done for the night. So my first meal was, I got a couple leftover pieces of pizza out of a pizza box out of the assistant strength coach's hotel room. I mean, you talk about going back to the grassroots. I mean, if my wife, if people would have seen this, they would have thought, what in the hell is going on here? Like, this guy's on the sideline. I can actually show you guys a picture right now. It's hanging on the wall. I have to take the iPad off. But there was an article that was written about my work with the team. It says right here, NDSU's secret weapon. I mean, there's me walking off the sideline at the national championship. I mean, nobody would have known any of this. They would have thought there was some big budget and I was making all this money. But you know what? I didn't do it for the money. I did it for the opportunity to win this. And if you guys can see, it's got a number 5 on there. And that number 5 represents the 5th straight national championship that these players won. And they won this national championship. And I promise you, Georgia's got a pretty darn good football team. They may win 3 in a row. They ain't winning 5 in a row. And this may be a record that is never touched in the history of college football, and that's legacy. And each and every single one of you, I just encourage you, as we lean into your planning today, you got to strip away all the emotion. I know you've heard me say standard over feelings, and some of you have probably thought to yourselves, like, yeah, but you don't really know. Like, look, Brett just mentioned this recognition, and you threw this biggie, but you don't know what I'm feeling. Oh, I don't? I don't know what you're feeling. I don't know what it's like to work and get no money. I don't know what it's like to sleep on a couch when you're making money or accustomed to doing things a certain way in your life. I don't know what it's like to eat leftover pizza out of a pizza box because there's no other meal for you. So at some point in time, you got to stop feeling sorry for yourself. And you got to get honest. And you got to say to yourself, you know what? I may not have what I want right now. But if I'm willing to continue to work, everything I believe I can achieve, I can have it as long as I don't quit. And the last time I checked, and this is why I wanted to see all of your faces, and it's okay, I was just messing with you earlier. You don't have to turn on your screens if you can't. But, if you get the recording and you're driving around or you can't give full attention, please rewatch this, because this is an important message for you today from Brett and I, is that I don't want you to quit. Because what you're going through right now is maybe exactly what you have to go through to one day have an opportunity. And I say this very humbly. This was the first ring that I won. How many rings do you see on that shelf? That was the first. So you can tell me how bad you want it. But if you've been quitting, you don't believe in that. You don't believe that the sacrifice you make for the first leads to the rest of the championships that you win. You're just telling yourself and fooling yourself that you're happy to have something, but you really don't believe that the sacrifice and the pain you're going through right now is actually what you have to go through to win your next championship. So today what I want to do with you is I want you to strip away the emotion. I want you to strip away the pain. I want you to strip away the fear. I want you to strip away the doubt. And I want you to give yourself permission to plan for 2024, knowing that this tide is going to change. And it's not going to change next week. It is not going to change in a month. It is not going to change by the end of the year. Brett, maybe 12 months.
I think we're in
Hopefully.
the bottom of the fourth.
The bottom of the fourth. So maybe mid next year. So let me ask you a question. If you want to win the championship when everything shifts back the other way, do you think you win the championship when you start working when rates go down? Or do you think you actually build the pipeline for the greatest championship you ever could have imagined right now? And if you believe that the answer is the latter, then your behaviors shouldn't change. Just like my behavior, my energy and passion for that team didn't change just because they didn't have a budget. So I want you to really ask yourself, how bad do you want it? And has your daily behavior been in alignment with somebody who's ready to win in 12 or 18 months? And that may seem like a long way away, but I'll tell you something about life. It starts going fast the older that you get. I'll turn 45 next month. Baird and I have known each other for 15 years. It almost seems surreal to even think about that. I remember meeting him. Gavin finally had him on the burn, so he can't give me trouble about bypassing him for other people for the burn. Boy, did we tear it up. We had so much fun filming that the other day. And I literally, it's like 15 years ago, we were at a NCAA tournament basketball game in Denver, meeting in a suite. I mean, it seems like yesterday. It's 15 years ago. And I'll tell you what, Brett Baird has had some amazing years over the last 15 years. He's going through some tough times right now, just like all of you are. But one thing I'll tell you about Brett, you all can attest to this. Does he show up every day? Does he give it everything that he's got? Did he make a decision to put together a group like this when nobody in the industry is doing anything like this, to give back to the people that mean so much to him because he realizes he's never had success on his own? So on behalf of myself and Brett, knowing that that's the kind of guy who he is, and knowing that everything always hadn't been sunshine and roses in my life, no matter what recognition Brett wants to tell you I just received, let's lean in together today, okay? Let's give ourselves permission to think big again. Let's give ourselves permission to have a little energy around what you're capable of achieving in your life. So here's what I want you to do. I want to start with this. I want you to think about something. As painful as it's been, as hard as it's been, as much as you maybe had a lack of clarity up until this point, I want you to write down a really big goal for 2024 professionally that would really fire you up. That it's going to challenge you, it's going to make you uncomfortable, but it really fires you up, gets you excited again. Forget the emotion. I want you to look at it on paper and say, now that gets me going. I want to work towards that. Okay. Now I want everybody to look back down at that goal. And I just asked you with just love and conviction and passion and belief, even though I know how hard it is for you right now, I asked you to write down something that was big, would make you uncomfortable, challenge you, and excite you. I want you to just look down. I've done this enough times to know you probably still protected yourself with that answer because it's been so hard. So I want you to look down, and now I want you to just have a chance to do it again. And maybe one of you've got it down and you're like, no, that is the goal. Do not change it. But if you actually did protect yourself a little bit, if you kind of thought 2, 3, 4 times before you put that down, I want you to give yourself an opportunity. Go ahead and change it. And here's one thing that I've realized about setting goals in life. Okay, and I'm going to say this very, very humbly, but I want to just get this point across. When you go for really big goals and you fall short, nothing bad happens to you. Like if I say to you, like you go for a really big goal, like tell me what are the terrible, awful, horrible things that happen for you when you go for a big goal? Typically you do more than you would have if you'd protected yourself, and nothing like really awful happens to you. Maybe there's some disappointment. I wish I would have done more, but you actually learn a lot when you really go for it. Hey, Brett, how many times in the last 20 years do you think I've hit my revenue goal? Last 20 years.
Probably 20.
2.
Really?
So I think so big that there's only 2 times in the last 20 years where I've actually hit my revenue goal. But you want to hear something that'll blow you away? My revenue has gone up every single year the last 20 years. I have not gone backwards in 20 years, but I've actually only hit my revenue goal twice. So Batten's over there looking at me like, what kind of shitty goal setter is he? I'm not listening to Newman anymore. Or do I actually push and challenge myself? So people get so caught up in like, I have to control the result. You have to guarantee me that I'm going to get it, right? Like how many people would have really risked, maybe we'll win this 5th straight national championship? Because like, if that team did terrible, I could have been like looked at as the guy. I could have like never had another job in college football, made no money and been thrown out in the trash and never had a job in college football again. But I wasn't worried about it. I just wanted to give my all to it and believe in it. So you go for it. And typically when you go for it, the years that I've fallen short, then you have an opportunity to scrutinize and go, what happened? What can I fix? How can I get better? So I just want to encourage you, if you need to change your goal, change it, because when you fall short, you still have an opportunity to grow. If you want to change it, you can. Okay. Now let me ask you a question. Some of you, it's an unfair advantage because you know how I do this with individuals. I don't want anybody to raise their hand. I don't want anybody to nod their head. I want this to continue to feel like it's one-on-one coaching, just the 2 of us today. And for those of you that have participated in me asking this question, I still want you to be completely honest with yourself. For those that are new friends on the call today, this will be a brand new experience for you. But each and every single one of you just wrote down a really significant goal, and then I challenge you to think bigger with it. Each and every single one of us knows, based upon what you do, what piece of the industry you work in, you actually know what you need to do every day. Like you know exactly what it is that you need to do. So I want you to actually now write down what is the single most, and I know you got 4 things, 5 things, 6 things. Some of you have 8 things you need to do in a day to win the day. And if I do these things every day, that's how winning is done and I can be successful. But I want all of you to write down based upon and make sure it's in alignment with the goal you just wrote down for 2024. What is the single most important discipline or habit that I must hit every day? It's not a result. It's not a sale. It's a habit or a discipline that grows a pipeline. It grows opportunity. What's the single most important daily discipline that you would have to follow through with in order to hit that 2024 goal? Write that down for me, please. Okay, so everybody just wrote down. So now we've got a goal. This is the really big goal. It should energize you, should scare you a little bit, but like, I can't wait till I get back there. I believe we're going to get back there at some point. And then you all just wrote down the single most important daily discipline. I'm not going to make anybody say it, but you all should have it. So all of you just wrote down the single most important daily discipline, which really should be something that you're currently doing now, unless you're planning on changing jobs, right? So we should have some alignment here. You know what you need to do. You're already doing it. So if we're already doing it and you already know what you need to do in order to hit this really big goal, let me ask you a very important question. This is where some of you might get a little frustrated with me, but nobody's going to know your answer. You're not turning this into anybody. You don't have to tag me at Continued Fight on Instagram and tell me what your answer is. You keep this for you. Over the last 30 days, how would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, being completely and brutally honest with yourself? How would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 with what you just wrote down as the single most important discipline or habit for you to win big in 2024? Now I'm going to be direct because I care that much. And Brett, you can address this later, but maybe because I'm too direct sometimes because I care that much. That's why nobody wants to take me up on the special offer because of Brett to join our Uncommon Live community, because they can only handle me once a quarter. They can't imagine this kind of accountability with me multiple times a month. They don't want that shit. Maybe you don't want it. Maybe it's actually needed. I'll let Brett deal with that later. But here's the deal. Let me ask you this question. If that number's less than a 10, I mean, how bad do you really want to get out of the pain you're experiencing? You see, because now we're having the real conversation where everybody wants to talk about the fact that I want to get out of this pain. But if you're a 6 right now, or a 3 or a 5, of course you want to get out of the pain, but really not that bad. Because what's going to happen is you're not going to experience the huge wins that will come from the individuals like Brett Baird, because he's been doing this for over 2 decades. He knows when the rates go down because he's staying active and doing things that he knows works. He's literally going to have the period of time in his business, and I'm going to help him through some of these stages so he can go buy multiple houses and more real estate and park even more cash away, so that there's even more security from all of it. He is going to have the greatest wins he has ever had in his career. And I know it with 100% certainty. If I could go back to Vegas and I could take Brett Baird, the new 40 pounds less Brett Baird, and I could walk him into the sports book and I could literally put odds on him. And I could say, Sportsbook, what are the odds that Brett Baird has his best year ever when these rates go down again? I'm like asking Brett, can I take a second mortgage out on my house so that I can literally take as much cash and put it on Brett Baird? Because that's how much I know and believe. Same belief that I had that this was going to happen. I have that belief in Brett Baird because he's not quitting. He's not making the money that he wants right now. He doesn't have the pipeline that he would want right now. But he and his team will win so big. And that's why I encourage you. If you have an opportunity, I know all of you don't do business together, but if there's an opportunity to do business with Brett, do business with Brett, do business with each other. Don't slow down just because you're not making the money that you want right now. You have got to understand that if you remain a 10 in choosing to do what you know you need to do every day, you are going to win big when rates go down, period. So literally, I would bet on all of you. If you're willing to stay in the fight and actually do the work, I'd bet on all of you. But I'm going to be honest with you, and this is going to hurt. If I actually got to see your paper and one of you is a 4, I'm taking the extra money I would have put on you and I'm putting that on Baird too. Because I'm not betting on anybody that's a 4 in terms of their discipline. I'm not going to do it. Because I'm not going to win enough money. I'm going to bet on the people that I know are the 10s because their belief in discipline doesn't change because they know what's coming when the rates go down. Has there ever been a period of time in history, Brett, where rates are doing what they're doing and they never go down? They always stay up like this. I mean, Never. Is that even possible?
No, I mean, if that happened, we'd have much bigger problems. But no, this is, I think, my 4th cycle. Up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And I think that when they come down, it's going to be aggressive, and it's going to be, if, I say this all the time to the team, if tomorrow rates were 5, we would all be so screwed that we wouldn't know what to do with ourselves. We just wouldn't. There would be so much demand all of a sudden that, especially with BlackRock and Vanguard in the picture now and so on and so forth. I don't know if any one of our clients would get a damn house unless they're going in cash and you're a realtor like Irma. If rates were in the 5s, we would be toast. It's going to happen. So we just have to prepare for it.
Okay. So now we're honest about where we are. Now we're being real about the fact that rates aren't going to stay where they are. It's going to come back down. You have to be prepared. You have to continue to invest in yourself and your brand and your belief in yourself, and you have to talk to yourself in a positive way, you're not a failure because things aren't going the way that you want them to go right now. You didn't create this problem. None of you said like, hey, can rates please go up? That's what I want. So you really shouldn't change how you feel or believe in yourself. And this is really important when we walk into this goal setting now, because what comes out of your mouth goes into your ears. That's what you believe, and that's what drives your action. So if you believe that rates are going to go back down, and all of you have had healthy periods of time in your business, why would you not believe in you right now? Why would you choose to be a 4 on your disciplines when you know when rates were down and you were more disciplined and you won? Why would you choose to not be disciplined right now? Because rates are high and you're not going to make the money? Stop worrying about the money. And I know that's easy to say as if I'm out of tune with the emotion of it. I've been in these periods of time. I've been in ups and downs in my businesses. I've had to write checks back to the company that I worked for in the insurance business that were the size of NFL game checks. I know what financial pain looks like. And I'm here right now. And all of you have been showing up, and I'm super damn proud of you. So we wrote down one goal. I want to teach you guys my methodology of planning. So we just had one goal to kind of frame this. I just painted the picture of discipline. Now I really want to take a full-fledged approach towards your planning right now for 2024. And I want to explain some of the psychology behind this. About 15 years ago, when I was actually speaking, writing, coaching, doing this work, and I was still a financial advisor. I was part of a leadership team for a Fortune 100 financial firm. I was actually, not to impress anybody, but to impress upon the point, I was a top 1% financial advisor. So I was performing in the highest of the industry, and I was in leadership. So like when I exited the business, people thought I was crazy. I wasn't like some guy who couldn't sell anything and decided to get into coaching like a lot of people do. I was actually one of the guys, people literally thought like, you are nuts. Why are you leaving what you're doing? So go back about 15 years ago, I'm actually doing both. We had 2 teams running 2 companies. And I go in, and there was a coach similar to me. Her name was Jan, and she was running a planning day. Eunice and Brett heard me talk a little bit about this in Vegas because I always do planning around this period of time, and I'm going to tell you why. And so I go in, and Jan, she says, hey, there's a brand new technology system for planning. It's a computer program from the home office. And the moment I heard that, I was terrified. Like, for those of you that know me well, I am not good with technology. I don't like technology. The fact I can even turn on the Zoom screen and get the mic right surprises me sometimes. I resist technology. And so I literally go in, and Jan's like, you got to have this computer program, and here's what you're going to do. And I'm like, I can't, I'm not doing it. Like, you don't hear me say can't very often. I can't mess with this computer program. Like, this isn't going down like this. These inputs and all this stuff, not happening. So I literally went home, and we had this homework assignment. You got to do this planning with the computer program. We're going to come back a week later. We're going to turn them all in. So I come back a week later, and I didn't do the homework. I did not do the home office computer program. I actually went home, believe it or not. Now I'm going to ask you all to do this while I tell you the story. So I want you to actively do this as I tell the story. I went home, and I took out an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, and I wrote the word personal at the top of it. So I want you all to take out a piece of paper. If you don't have white 8.5 by 11, it's okay. Take something out of your notebook. It could be a sticky note for now, whatever you got. But I want you to write personal up at the top of one sheet of paper. And then I took out a second 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. I mean, this is really sophisticated, isn't it, Brett? This is like super technology here. And then I took out another piece of paper, and I wrote professional up at the top.
Batten, does this look familiar at all?
Yes, it does.
So I write down personal, I write down professional. Look at the smile on Katie. She's like, this is crazy here in bed. So resist technologies, unwilling to do something. I'm normally coachable. I'll fall in line. I'm easy to work with. I was not doing this planning process. So I write down personal, I write down professional. And then I wrote down, like, these are all the things that I want to do next year. These are all the things I believe I can accomplish personally. And then on the professional, these are all the things I believe that our teams can accomplish together professionally. And it was like 25, 30 things on each list. And I started to get all fired up and excited about it. And then I remembered that our old managing director had always encouraged me to do a revenue projection. an income statement or a revenue projection. So an income or a revenue projection statement. And so I did that. I said, okay, based upon these things we're going to do professionally, here's what I anticipate my revenue will be for next year. And then he had me do a net worth statement. First time I did this 15 years ago, we did not have the net worth that we have today. So I'm literally looking at numbers that are far smaller. Like, you don't even like putting those numbers on the paper sometimes. And you're like, man, I wish these numbers were bigger. But you still did it because it gives you an accurate picture of where you were. So there was all this emotion, like, I want the net worth to go up. So you're going to be energized and focused. Like, I can have that revenue again, like some of you may be needing to see right now. By the end of next year, there's a healthy revenue number when these rates go down. If you guys need help with coming up with these projections and some of the ways that you guys can actually get there, talk to Brett, talk to some of each other, like be honest with yourself. Rates go down. Think about this. If rates go down, so we're in fourth quarter of 2023. If rates go down fourth quarter of next year, you will make more money in those last 3 months than you made all of this year and probably last year combined. Brett, accurate statement? In 3 months. Plus. Wouldn't it benefit you to put that down on paper right now and stare at it and say, that's what, look at Belen. I got Belen going now. I love it. So Belen's going, damn right. That's what I needed to hear. Because we forget. We forget because we're not putting it in front of us. And so you choose to resist what the actual truth is because you're feeling so much pain right now. Look at the future. The rates are going to go down. Fourth quarter next year, you may make more money in 3 months than you made over the last 2 years. Why wouldn't you want to architect that out right now? And then how does that impact your net worth statement? Gosh, you're going to start putting some money away again rather than pulling money out of savings. And then you can look and say, personally, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go run marathons because it's going to make me keep believing in myself during a period of time where I'm getting beaten up every day. Brett Baird does not like the pain that he's going through right now, but he's creating more pain in his life to remember that he's a guy that does great things. And I would submit to you, I almost want to make Eunice get on here. The amount of joy that I have when I see the two of those together, they have more love for each other now than I used to see 2 and 3 years ago. Just my opinion. And he's making less money. Like when I see the picture of him under the bridge when I think he weighed 375 pounds. Right, Eunice? I mean, it was just different. Life was different. So we can either say that your joy and everything comes from money and life, or you may realize like maybe you need to connect to some personal goals again. Maybe you need to say, you know what? I've allowed my weight to get out of control because my business has been bad. Stop it. Get back to believing in yourself. Go run a 5K. If a marathon seems impossible, start with a 5K. But challenge yourself to write down some personal things that get you excited again. Don't live in isolation. That's how you create depression. And so I want you all to like lean back into things that are going to make you feel good. And literally when I look out in the audience and I see the two of them at this casino party, like it brought so much joy to me. The fact that Brett was still willing to come to this event, he knows how much I love and care about him. And he just ran a damn marathon. Like it brought me joy, like seeing them there. And then I want you guys to write down these professional goals, which connect to what you know you can achieve when these rates go down. I get it. You're not going to have an amazing month this month. You're not going to have an amazing month next month. If you actually start working a little bit harder, you're going to do more than you're currently doing, but it's not going to be some month that's going to make you sing and dance, but it's going to help you rebuild the muscle that you've moved away from. And so I just want you to think about this. We're not going to complete this today, but what if each of you write down all your personal goals and professional goals, just like I'm asking you to do for 2024. Literally, when we get off here, you schedule 1 hour with yourself or 2 hours with yourself this week, not next week, not in 2 weeks. And here's the reason why I say this week. I have always planned for the last 15 years in the middle of October, the last week of November at the very latest. Here's why. How many of you got on this Zoom call? I actually know it's all of you, so I don't even need you to answer. How many of you got on this Zoom call saying, I hope I just get a little extra energy today. I'm feeling beat up. I appreciate Brett so much. I love that Brett and Ben come on here and do this for us quarterly. So like, I'll probably feel a little bit of energy and excitement, But you know what? When we're done with it, I'm just going to get that little boost and I'm going to have to go back to isolation the way I've been living. A lot of you are probably feeling that way. How many of you, just by me talking about the belief in you personally and professionally for 2024, are feeling a little extra energy? How many of you are believing a little bit more like, man, I got this coming. It's coming back. Like even if I get 1 quarter of greatness next year, I'm going to take it because it's going to make up for this pain. You're believing again. That's why I always planned, even when times were good. I've done this for over 15 years. I planned for next year with 2 months to go, because what do most people do? That, you know, they say, oh, we're going to plan a planning meeting in February and we're going to get these awesome speakers and planning day 2024 in February. I think, how much have these people lost touch with reality? Have you ever seen somebody show up to a prize fight that's 12 rounds and you just let somebody beat the shit out of you for the first round and you do nothing? Why in the world would you plan in February? Who would plan a planning meeting in February of 2024 when the first round is over? If you plan it on February the 15th, you may have already gotten knocked out and you're going to start your planning. It makes no sense. Corporations have lost touch with how you're actually supposed to plan. I figured this out 15 years ago. And I say this very humbly. It's why I work with so many champions in business and in sports, because they understand the competitive advantage I feed them when you plan early. And so I've always done this, because the energy that you're feeling right now, you can go and start 2024 now. All this energy and excitement. And then you can say, what are my daily behaviors that are going to cause me to win with these personal and professional goals in 2024? So now you write down a half marathon, which you've been scared to commit to. Now you write down, I'm going to get back to reading books. Now you write down, I'm going to be present and focused with my family again, rather than being depressed when I get home. I'm not going to allow money to hold me back. I'm going to give my family my energy, my passion, and my love again, no matter how painful it's been. And you say professionally, I'm going to close a bunch of business next year. Here's what, and then you start living your 2024 days to finish 2023. How many of you, with that little flip of belief, things are going to get better in 2024? If all of you hold on to that energy every day and finish your year with that energy, and you say, I will be a 10 on the things that I can control, as hard as it is, because this is an emotionally tough time, from now until the end of the year, I can be a 10, so that I end up doing more in 2023 than I would have had I not connected to this behavior, belief, and discipline. And I will have momentum heading into 24, which is going to be the best year that I've ever had, because maybe some of you have never experienced the ups and downs of the business. You've been to the up, you've never experienced the down. So when Baird tells you, you better get ready because it's going to be amazing what you do, you can't even really connect to how great that is. But I'm telling you right now, it doesn't get much better than that. So you better be prepared for it with a pipeline of people that know that you're open for business. So you see what I'm getting at? So you tell me, you want to keep doing what you're doing and finish the year with the same mindset and discipline that you've been showing up with? Or do you want to take 1 to 2 hours, write down your personal and professional goals? And now what I've done over time, our team, they create a cute little cover sheet for me, right? Gives me a little energy, right? Some I am statements. There's my personal goals. There are my professional goals, right? It's got my family behind there, right? Make it look nice. Make it have energy, income statements, net worth statements, all that stuff. I'm not just saying this. I'm not just coming on here saying, boy, this will sound really good. Brett, I got some great content. This might work. I've been doing this for 15 years. Do you guys see how energized I am? Not only for you, I'm energized for me. I've been closing the year like this. We just came off of the biggest event we've ever done. I've been doing boot camps for 14 years. Most people throw an event like we just did. Tim Grover, Ed Milet, Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, Justin Gatlin, damn near 150 people, almost sold out the entire event. Never put on an event this big. I'm so hungry for more because I won't get seduced by success. But what causes that is by going and doing your plan and saying, if I want this, I can't come back and say, Brett, man, wasn't that event great? I'm going to take the next 2 months off. That's not acceptable to me. So you have to say to you, is it acceptable to wait this thing out, or is it time for you to get back into the game? Is it time for you to do your planning for 2024? Is it time for you to realize that you control your effort, your energy, your attitude, and when you decide to plan? So I would love for all of you schedule that hour, schedule those 2 hours, plan out 2024. Your best year ever may come in a 3-month period of time at the end of 2024. And I want you to be ready for it. And I promise you, if you give all of yourself one day at a time, you're going to make more money than you've been making. May not be great months, may not be anything that makes you just go wild and want to sing and dance, but it's going to be better than it's been. And you owe that to yourself. Because if you're actually showing up, you might as well do the work. Don't show up with a mindset of pain, disappointment, and fear, and you tell yourself, well, I showed up today. Showing up is 0% of the battle. And I'll leave you with this, and I'll turn it back over to Brett. My dear friend Tim Grover, who was the performance coach for Michael Jordan, Dwayne Wade, Kobe Bryant. Anybody ever heard of those names? Right? It's like you look at his resume and I look at mine, and that's why I love having mentors and dear friends like Tim Grover in my life, because he makes me feel like I haven't accomplished a damn thing. I love having friends like that push me. I literally look and I'm like, well, I'm just getting started. So one day. So it makes me keep working. I love those friends in my life. And here's what Tim Grover said. I don't know if this was one of your favorite quotes from the event, Brett, but he said, if you think the price of success is high, wait until you get the bill for regret.
Oof.
I appreciate the opportunity to spend this time with all of you. Brett, you know how much I care about you. And I want you all to realize you have it in you to keep fighting. But don't just show up on this Zoom screen. Take the challenge. Do your planning. Connect to that energy. Take it one day at a time. And know that this one day at a time mindset is going to eventually lead you to the day when the rates drop and you experience the greatest win you ever could have imagined. Please don't quit and stay in the fight. Brett, I'll turn it over to you.
Ben, this was the best one yet. Absolutely phenomenal. I'm about to flip my damn desk over in here. Just fantastic. I've been getting texts from half the people on here just saying this is fantastic. So we appreciate you. So 2 things. One, Ben, I personally coach with Ben one-on-one, but he also has Uncommon Live. It's usually $400 a month. He's giving it to all my buddies for $100 a month. It's 2 calls. It's live. It's this kind of format.
Three calls a month.
It's 3 calls. Yeah, it's 3 calls.
Not only that, it's 3 calls a month. And okay, if you guys feel energy and passion, okay, every single Monday I go live on Zoom for what we call Monday Ignition. And not only for you, you could let your entire team watch it. Okay, and I'm going to say this again, Brett, and I'm going to turn it over. Like, I hate selling in environments like this, but I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. At $100 a month, that does not cover my expenses for the program to even pay my team. So it actually costs me more to run the program than $100 a month. The only reason why I'm offering $100 a month for this group is because of Brett Baird and because of how much he cares. But I technically, it costs me more money for a seat in that program than $100 a month. I'm not trying to make money here. I want to help you. And if you sign up for the program and you determine it's not for you, it's not a contract, cancel it. But like every Monday, I do this live for you for 5 minutes to light up your week on Monday. We're not going back to those old behaviors. And then there's live sessions every single month. So I just wanted to share that. Go ahead, Brett.
Yeah, and it's a great auxiliary to our one-on-one stuff. It's been phenomenal. I know a lot of people get a lot out of it, and it's all about ideas. I know Andy, for example, runs a big team in Ohio, and we take pieces of this stuff and then we convey it to our team members. We convey it to the people that we do business with. I mean, one idea a month is worth $100. So I think it's a super affordable price. I love doing it. I appreciate that. That was number 1. Number 2, I'm going to be sending out invites. I am capping it at 20 realtors. I'm going to be sending out an invite. Katie, surprise. I'm going to be capping it at 20 realtors. I'm going to go, we do team goal planning once a year. I want to do it for 20 realtors. It's going to be a group of us. We're going to go a mile deep. It's going to be 3 or 4 hours. It's going to be catered. It'll be a fantastic event. We're going to, like I said, like we'll go balls to the wall on this thing. So I'm going to be sending out invites. I look forward
Are
to
you
seeing
just now
everyone.
telling Katie about this? This is like live here planning.
This is how I roll.
I was like, all right, let's do it.
So Katie got some
Now we
planning
go,
to do
right?
today. But that's right. So we're going to pick out a date today. We'll be sending that out today. And again, Ben, like, you don't have to do these things. You want to do these things. We appreciate you. We love you. And I mean, shit, this got my mind right for the foreseeable future and to close out the year strong. So we appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate all of you. Just those final words that I said, please, no regrets. Just take it one day at a time. Control your emotion, control your energy. Just your standard, your best one day at a time. Don't let those feelings keep you from experiencing that big win that's coming, whether it comes in 6 months or 9 months or 12 months. Live to that standard one day at a time. I promise you, big wins are coming and it's going to change your life.
Awesome. Thanks, gang. We appreciate all of you. See you guys soon.